All right. This is going to be a short one. Got some serious things to take care of this morning. But I had to come in and say hello to the sports fans all around the world, wherever you are, especially if you're chiming in with the old coach. Today I want to rap about the playoffs. We know that the college football playoffs, they expanded this year to 12 teams, and they've now narrowed it down to the final two. They're going to tee it up Monday night, and that would be Ohio State and Notre Dame playing next Monday, I believe, in Atlanta. And then now the playoffs for the NFL, they just kicked off this weekend with the Super Wild Card Weekend. This is the second year since they expanded the playoffs to 14 teams. So that's 14 of the 32 teams, kind of in a way that the NBA does it. You know, that's about the same percentage of what the NBA allows in its playoffs. Before, you had 6 teams. And with the 6 teams, jockeying for a playoff position was always the height of the NFL season, especially since they put the division games on the last week of the season. Because if you guys remember, they just had a random schedule, and teams would play, and teams that didn't have anything to play for, they just wouldn't show up. So it's pretty much an easy victory for a team that had something to lose. But now that you have division games to close out the season, it makes everything much more competitive, much more serious, and oftentimes there are things on the line. But when you add the 7th team, you still have some teams jockeying for position, but 6 of the teams are generally already set up. So I wonder if the NFL now has too many teams in the playoffs. And what they're talking about doing in the future is expanding. I don't know if you know it or not. Steve Stedman says hi. How you doing? I don't know if you know it or not, but they're considering expanding not the playoffs, but the regular season to 18 games with 2 bye weeks. If they're going to do that, they're probably going to add some more playoff teams. But right now, with the league the way it is, I'm starting to wonder if the NFL has too many teams. I never agreed with expansion because 6 was a good, nice round number. You get 2 byes and you go from there. But what you have taking place now is a lot of blowouts. The same thing that you had in college football in the first round, you got the same thing in the NFL now. People are getting blown out in the first round. I think out of all the games that we saw this weekend, we really only had one that was competitive, and that was Washington and Tampa. But the Vikings, even though they were 14-3, they take. Appreciate it, Steve. Washington, not Washington, but Minnesota, they wait till the end of the season to start playing their worst football. I kind of had a feeling that Sam Darnold was going to return back to being Sam Darnold, and he did. Even with the passes he completed last night, they were behind the receiver, and he's holding on to the ball too long. When you have, even on the screen pass, he's holding on to the ball too long. I don't know how Minnesota expected to advance when the quarterback playing like that. And unfortunately for Darnold, he had opportunity to make a lot of money this offseason, but the last two games, it cost him a whole lot of money because now they're looking at him like we don't know if we can depend on you moving forward, especially in Minnesota when you have a quarterback logjam there. You know, they drafted J.J. McCarthy out of Michigan last year, number 1. He got hurt, season-ending injury, and then you pick up Daniel Jones after he got cast aside by the Giants. McCarthy's coming back next year. Jones will be there, and then with McCarthy, look like the Vikings got to make some decisions about what they're going to do with their quarterback. But that's down the road. Last night, they stunk up the joint. They played against Detroit, they stunk up the joint. And it was sudden and quick with the Vikings. And I saw, one of the Detroit players 2 weeks ago complaining about why should a 14-3 team have to go on the road? Well, if they played themselves into that position, then you just go on the road. I don't care what your record is, because the record is going to be reset anyway when you go to the playoffs. They had the opportunity, I'm talking Minnesota, to put themselves in a better position. They didn't show up against Detroit. They laid an egg. Then last night they laid the egg against the Rams. So the Vikings ended up just where it was supposed to be. A 14-3 team that started out well and then started playing like a 5 or 6 seeded team, and then they got ousted. But I'd still think that you got too many teams in NFL playoffs. Max Bell should say real shit. Appreciate it. I just think they got too many teams in the NFL, and it's all based on trying to get as much money as they can, and it's not trying to see who's the best teams, because if you really care about the best teams and the safety of the players, you wouldn't keep adding all these games knowing that it puts people in great physical danger. So remember that when you start thinking about or listening to the rhetoric your league puts out about how they feel about their players, because in reality, they don't give a damn about their players. I saw yesterday that the Cowboys finally decided on what they were going to do with Mike McCarthy. They agreed mutually, they say, to part ways. They decided mutually to part ways, and now they're talking about it's a possibility that Deion Sanders could move in and be the next head coach of the Cowboys. I think that would be a horrible move, even though I know that they know each other, but he also knows how Jerry is. Jerry is very fickle, and he's got a good little thing he's building at Colorado, and to leave that behind to go hang out with Jerry Jones, who fired Jimmy Johnson, and that's all you really need to know about Jerry Jones. Why would Deion want to do anything like that? But he came out last week after saying all along that he had no interest in no NFL job, but he said that if he can coach his sons. Well, I've been telling you guys all along, I've been telling you this for 3-4 years now, that Deion is only coaching college football because he wants to make sure his sons get taken care of. Now, his defensive son, Shiloh, he's on the borderline of whether or not he's going to even get an opportunity to play in the NFL. But if Deion is the coach somewhere, that pretty much guarantees that he's going to be playing in the NFL somewhere. So if Shiloh is a player that's not good enough to play in the NFL, and Dad brings him along, what did he just do? He just created a liability on the defensive side for his team, because he's going to have a player out there that can't measure up, and that's just going to reduce the play of his team. Shador, great thrower of the ball, but his escapability is not that great. I see these college guys chasing him down from behind and causing all kind of havoc and reducing his percentages. What will happen if he goes to the pros? You think they won't be able to chase him down too? Myles Garrett, those kind of fellows. But I think that if Deion was to go to the pros, then he controls where his sons will go. Because if nobody else drafts him, guess who's going to draft him? So he's in the same position that he's in now. He's going to make sure his sons are taken care of, and he's going to make sure they have an NFL career. Last week, they were talking to Raiders. The Raiders would be a good choice because of their shaky situation there. But they're in a position where they can draft Shador, and then if Deion was the coach, he can draft his son and then bring in Shiloh right behind him. So he won't have Travis Hunter. I mean, he won't be able to get all three, but he would have two of his sons on the field with him. But I've been seeing this coming all along, despite of what he's saying about not wanting to coach the NFL. I never believed it. Maybe he doesn't really want to coach the NFL, but I thought he would just retire altogether once his sons were done playing. But now he's in a position to ensure the careers of his sons in the NFL. Oh, he's gone. And I've been on it the whole time. It doesn't fool me. It's really always been to me about him taking care of his sons. I guess there's nothing wrong with that, but at the same time, don't try to pull the wool over my eyes with that, because I can see right through that. All right, Jihad said, I thought you said Pittsburgh Steelers were going to beat the Baltimore Ravens. Jihad, I hadn't seen you in, 2 weeks? Yeah, I talked strong about the Steelers, and I'm still talking strong, just like I said the other day. When my teams win, I don't say a word because I expect them to win. But when they lose, that's when I go talking the most trash. Yeah, you with me the other night, and for whatever reason, I don't think that Pittsburgh showed up to play in that first half. And had they showed up in the first half, then you might have got a different result. But I'm starting to wonder about the stability of my Steelers. Baltimore whipped me the other night. I never seen Pittsburgh. It's been a long time since I've seen Pittsburgh get blown off the ball like that. But I think they didn't show up to play. I didn't think they cared if they won or lost. Because in their mind, the defense felt like the offense couldn't produce enough points to win. But the offense showed up in the second half. If they had showed up that way the whole game, then it would have been a different outcome. But you're right. I did say that, and I never backed off from that, and I never will back off from that. There's a certain way that you have to play to beat Baltimore, and I'm thoroughly surprised to see Pittsburgh not even attempt to follow that formula. They tried to stop both Henry and Jackson. You can't do that to beat Baltimore. Now it's like open up you're trying to cover two holes with one, and you can't do it. If you're going to beat the Ravens, you got to stop Henry between the tackles first. Then when Jackson comes trotting around the corner, you got somebody on him to make that tackle. Pittsburgh showed you some of that, but then they went away from it by trying to blitz. It's just like the run-pass option. If you're trying to defend the run-pass option, what they're doing is reading the linebacker. If the linebacker comes up to make the tackle on the back, which is his natural instinct, the quarterback is going to pull the ball and throw it right behind him. But if the linebacker just hesitates a split second, that takes away the bigger threat, which is behind you, the pass. I don't understand why people hadn't figured that out yet. But Pittsburgh, they tried to do the same thing that these other teams try to do. They try to do both. You have to do what the Chiefs did in the AFC Championship game. Take that run between the tackles away. Yeah, I know they got Derrick Henry now, and it'd be a different look, but it's the same thing. I don't care if you had an all Hall of Fame backfield. If there's no running between the tackles, you can't run between the tackles. Take that away. So when Jackson comes trotting around the corner, you get him. Now you put him in a position where, I don't have my running game and I can't run, or now I got to beat him with my arm, so I got to show him I can beat him with my arm, and then he starts to tighten up and compress. Becomes a completely different player when he does not have a running game. Those wide open throwing lanes he has when they're running, it's not there. He hasn't shown, the only thing he hasn't shown he can do in the NFL is beat you with his arm when the game counts the most. So yes, Jihad, the Ravens did whip my Steelers, but we'll be back. You know we'll be back, and I wish you all the best, but we'll see you again. I didn't back up off that. 30-year-old running that's carrying all your boys to the end zone. Well, look, I told you guys a couple weeks ago, and I'm the first guy to say it, that Henry, he's got Hall of Fame stamped on his forehead. We coached against him in high school. He ran for 367 against us. Ran over us in high school. Ran over a whole bunch of other teams in high school. He goes to college, runs over the college guys. Now he's in the NFL running over them. When you look at all the carries he's had and all the damage I know a lot of people talk about that GOAT stuff. I'm not into all that. But when you look at this guy's body of work, he's got Hall of Fame stamped on his head. And the only thing that I have worry about him is if, just like Sean Alexander, woke up one morning and he couldn't do it no more. Henry's had more carries, I believe, than Alexander, and any day he can wake up and he just won't be able to do it no more. That's the only thing that I have concerns about him. But he's got this some kind of super diet that man running 5-6 years younger than his age. So he can conceivably do this for a couple more years. And what he should do is copy that diet and sell it to people, because he can make many more millions doing that than what he's making playing football. But yeah, he's a 30-year-old back running over people, and he's going to keep on running over people like he's been doing all his life. The guy's just that good, man. 30-year-old running back. What you laughing at, Ricks? You and Jihad picking on me? How you doing, man? He called me out. I hadn't seen him over a week. I told him I was going to whip him, just like I told you I was going to whip you too. But my Steelers will be back. We're not worried about it. Ravens Nation, rejoice. But you can't expect everybody not to show up like Pittsburgh. There's going to be a team out there that's sitting back watching, and they're going to take that inside run away. And then when your quarterback had to stand back there and throw it, then you're going to see just what I'm talking about. Somebody asked me the other day, did I have anything against the Ravens? Absolutely not. It's almost like the Cowboys now. I hate to see the Cowboys losing, because I got to have somebody to root against. It's not to that level with the Cowboys, but the Ravens, We wait to see you. We embrace seeing you, and we like nothing better than to whip you. We'll be back. But the Cowboys, they're all right. But like I said, they just let McCarthy go. He's probably going to end up with the Bears. But the question now is, where's Deion going to go? I've been saying all along he wasn't going to stay in Colorado once his sons left, and now you're hearing rumblings that he may go to the NFL. All that's to take care of his sons. It's been his plan the whole time. And regardless of what he say, that's what he's been playing. But knowing him, he's going to come out and say, God is telling me to do this. But anyway, all right, I think they're going to get rid of Pittsburgh Steelers head coach. Well, that's a good question. Not that he can't coach. It's just that after a period of time, your message kind of gets stale, or you get stale in one place. And I think the time has come for him to move on just to get a refresh. Now, he hasn't lost his desire and fire and to motivate people, but it's just not resonating the same as it was when he first got there. So it would be a little different to see him move on. He's still young enough that he could get back out there and coach, but where would he go? I don't know. But might be time for a change in Pittsburgh. And definitely they need to blow up that offense. Need to get a couple players on defense to stop that run, because now as long as you got backs like Henry coming in Baltimore, that's got to be your first priority. Because I never seen, even in the run-heavy days of the 60s and 70s, I never seen Pittsburgh get outrun like that. Yeah, it's a respectful beef between us, especially in this region. Ton of Steeler fans in Baltimore. Yeah, there's Steeler fans everywhere. And that's one of those teams that's been around a while. But if you guys know anything about football, you know Pittsburgh didn't start winning until the 70s. They had their breakout party with that immaculate reception in 72. That's when Pittsburgh broke on the scene. But if you listen to fans, you think they've been winning their whole entire existence. That's not true at all. The first 40 years, they were beyond terrible. All right. When the coach left, D.C. was not an option, so people here became Steelers fans, and it was passed down through generations. Well, so you're saying a lot of Steelers fans became Steelers fans in Baltimore when the coach left? So the Baltimore people became Steelers fans. Well, what about the Redskins? You say D.C. wasn't an option, so that means D.C. and Baltimore, y'all don't get along. I get that. But that's just like down here in Jacksonville. For years, until they got the Falcons, they didn't have a Southern team. So the southernmost team to here was the Redskins. So that's why you have a lot of Redskins fans from Jacksonville. Matter of fact, if you guys have seen all those Super Bowl highlights with John Riggins and that guy with the Indian feathers on saying, crank up that diesel, they call him the Chief. He was from Jacksonville. I found that out because, I do ride share, somebody who was related to him, and the subject came up. And, man, you never know what you're going to come across when you start talking to these people, man. Yeah, the Ravens, good program, but we're going to mash that bird brains out of you because we got long memories. Yeah, you got me today, but I'll get you tomorrow. And that's the beauty of a rivalry. I don't expect to win them all. I respectfully shake your hand, but at the same time, I'm thinking about how I'm going to be getting you back. And whether Tomlin comes back or not, somebody in that black and gold is going to be back, and we'll be waiting to see Baltimore. But let me know what you think about Deion, man. I just don't think that Deion, he hasn't been honest with the people. He's got all these people thinking he's going to build a program in Colorado. Now it looks like he's about to bolt to the NFL. But I guess the love for your sons is more powerful than your own personal goals. But he said his sons follow him. Well, let's see if that's true. Anyway, I got to take care of some business. It's about that time I got to sign out. We had about 20 minutes. But I appreciate you guys chiming back in with me. Ricky Riggs, Jihad. Got a couple other people on here today. Who else we got? Max Belshi. Steve Stebbins. Appreciate all you guys chiming in with me, man. Subscribe and hit that like button, man. And I'll be on with you guys live more often, especially early in the mornings now. I'm more in a routine now. But right now, myself, I got I got an opportunity to be the head football coach around here somewhere, and that would be great. And I got some great ideas, and I don't want to talk about that now, but I'm at a place that hadn't won anything, and there's an opportunity to win, because even though they haven't won, if you look around, there are athletes everywhere. The question is, can you get them out on the field? And I'm going to get them out on the field. So anyway, wherever you are in the world, Ricky Ricks, I'll catch you guys later, but let me end with this. It says, Jihad said, I think Deion Sanders sucked. Only good player on that team is Hunter, but it seems like he is only focused on 3 people. That is true. But anyway, you guys have a great day, and I'll catch you guys on the other side. This has been Sports for Real with Coach Hall. I'm out. Got to go to work. Be safe, man. I got